the matter of this deen. But his name was brought up to be used as an example for some youth. And somebody said that he wasn't a good example in the gathering. And this is unbelievable. Wallahi, it's unbelievable. I mean, he's Ustad al-Asatida, Shaykh al-Mashayikh, the teacher of the teachers. That's who he is. Abu Hamid al-Ghazali. وَمَا أَدْرَكَ مَا Abu Hamid al-Ghazali. But this is a disease when the ignorant people of this ummah talk about the mountains. Like the one said, وَمَا دَرَ شَمْسَ ضُحَى وَالشَّمْسُ طَالِعَةٌ أَلَّا يَرَاهُ مَنْ لَيْسَ ذَا بَصَرِ أَلَّا يَرَى نُورَهَا مَنْ لَيْسَ ذَا بَصَرِ يَا نَاطِحَ الْجَبْلَ الْعَالِي لِيُقْلِعَهُ. The man, he said, what harms the sun when it's in the middle of the sky? Because the blind man can't see its light. Oh, the one who hitting his head up against the mountain. أشفق بالرأس ولا تشفق بالجبل. Have compassion on your head and don't have compassion on the mountain. Imam al-Juwayni, who has the laqab of Imam al-Haramain, one of the greatest usuli scholars of this ummah, who was the teacher of Abu Hamid al-Ghazali, one day said to Abu Hamid, Ya faqih. And Abu Hamid radiallahu anhu became upset that he as a student was being called a faqih. And Imam al-Juwayni said that he realized that the Imam that bothered him, being called that name. So he took him into a room filled with his books. And he said, I wasn't given the title faqih until I knew all the books in this room. Abu Hamid al-Ghazali rahimahullah said that he didn't speak in ilm al-usul, in usul al-din, until he memorized 12,000 pages of Abu Bakr al-Baqillani. 12,000 pages. And now people say, talk about him like they talk about somebody just down the road. If you read the Rihla of Ibn al-Arabi, Abu Bakr al-Qari, another Imam who the Ummah is agreed on his guidance, and his book Ahkam al-Quran is one of the basic foundational books on Ahkam al-Quran. He said when he went into the presence of Abu Hamid al-Ghazali in Baghdad, he never saw anyone like him. He said he melted in his presence. And this is one of the greatest scholars that Andalusia produced. He said he melted in his presence. And he said suddenly things that were unclear became clear to him. And he spent time. And Abu Hamid al-Ghazali sent a letter to Yusuf ibn Tashfin, who was the leader of the Murabitin, the Imam of the Dawla al-Murabita. He sent him a letter and he praised in it Ibn al-Arabi, talking about the little time that he spent with him. He gained more than many students had been with him for years. أولئك الرجال, these are the men of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And part of the ta'zeem of the sha'air of Allah is to have ta'zeem for the ulama. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says in the Quran, وَمَنْ يُعَظِّمْ شَعَائِرَ اللَّهِ فَإِنَّهَا مِنْ تَقْوَى الْقُلُوبِ. And the sha'ira, whoever exalts the sha'air of Allah, is from the taqwa in their heart. The sha'ira is anything عَظَّمَهُ اللَّهِ وَأَجْعَرَ بِفَضْلِهِ وَتَعْظِيمِهِ. Anything that Allah has shown that it's something great. And Allah says about the ulama, هَلْ يَسْتَوِي الَّذِينَ يَعْلَمُونَ وَالَّذِينَ لَا يَعْلَمُونَ. Are they the same, those who know and those who don't know? إِنَّمَا يَخْشَى اللَّهَ مِنْ عِبَادِهِ الْعُلَمَاء. Those who fear Allah are the ulama. يَرْفَعِ اللَّهُ الَّذِينَ آمَنُوا مِنْكُمْ وَالَّذِينَ أُوتُوا الْعِلْمَ دَرَجَاتٍ. اقرأ kitab Allah and see what Allah says about knowledge. See what Allah says about the ulama. Look at the hadith of the Prophet ﷺ, فَضْلَ الْعَالِمْ عَلَى الْعَالِمْ كَفَضْلِ عَلَى أَجْنَاكُمْ. The preference of the alim over the worshipper is like my preference over the least of you. People have to understand who these people are. They have to understand, we have to understand who these people are. The Prophet ﷺ said that on Yawm al-Qiyamah, the blood of the shaheed and the ink, وَتِوَايَةِ الْعَالِمِ, they're weighed in the balance. And he said that the ink of the martyr will outweigh, the ink of the alim will outweigh the blood of the martyr. Sahib al-Zakhira al-Qarazi, rahimahullah, said about this hadith, he said, the highest thing that the shaheed gives is his blood, and the least of the tools of the scholar is his ink. The Prophet ﷺ said, إِنَّمَا بُعِثْتُ مُعَلِّمًا وَإِنَّ الْعُلَمَاءَ وَرَثَةُ الْأَنْبِيَاءِ. I was sent as a mu'allim. I was sent as a mu'allim. That's the Prophet ﷺ was sent as a teacher. And he said that the ulama are the inheritors of the Prophet. They inherit the wealth of the Prophet, which is knowledge. So who is going to speak about these people? This is the sign of the age we're living in. Al-Dhahabi, who was the student of Ibn Taymiyyah, rahimahumullah, one of the greatest scholars of Al-Jarh wa Ta'dil, which is the science of critically analyzing the words and the states of the scholars who transmit hadith, says about Ibn Hazm, rahimahullah, who's one of the ulama of Islam, because his tongue was so harsh on the other ulama, his books were left by the ulama, and little benefit was derived from them. Simply because his tongue was harsh on the ulama, because he spoke with a harsh tongue. And one of the reasons given by the ulama for that is that he was mainly an autodidact. He had little training amongst the shuyukh, and that is a sign of people who are self-taught, who buy books and they start reading books and think that they're ulama, think that they can give fatwa. When knowledge is taken from abwah al-rijat, la min sutur al-kutub. This is something in the isnad min ad-deen. The isnad is part of our deen. And there's no science from the sciences of Islam that doesn't have isnad. It's not just hadith. It's not just hadith. The science, you go now, right now you can go, and I can show you a shaykh right now who teaches the Aqidah of Imam al-Tahawi with an unbroken chain of isnad back to Imam al-Tahawi. They can teach you the Risala of Ibn Abi Zayd al-Qayrawani with an isnad of unbroken scholars, one after the other. Knowledge is not taken from books, it's taken from human beings. And people have to learn the adab. And the loss of adab in this ummah has destroyed us. We don't have adab amongst each other, but why should we have adab amongst each other when we don't have adab for the best of us? Why? And why should Allah have compassion on a people when Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, مَنْ عَادَ لِي وَلِيًّا عَادَيْتُهُ بِالْحَرْبِ? The one who shows animosity or enmity towards one of my awliya. And Imam Shafi'i said, إِذَا لَمْ يَكُنُ الْعُلَمَاء هُمَ الْأَوْلِيَاء فَمَا لِلَّهِ وَلِيٌّ. If the ulama aren't the awliya, then Allah has no awliya. And iyakum, we should be aware also about the books of the ulama who talk about each other. Because this is something that all of the scholars have warned about students who haven't learned knowledge, reading books and reading like Ibn Taymiyyah said such and such about so-and-so, Al-Dhahabi said such and such about so-and-so. Those, first of all, Jarh wa Ta'dil is for the ulama of hadith. It's not for somebody to just go pick up a book and start reading it. And the ulama of hadith said that they are literally on a hufra, on a pit from the pits of the fire. The people who do that time. They literally see themselves on a pit from the pits of fire. And they had fear about saying things about certain scholars. They had taqwa. But now, like the Prophet ﷺ said, people will say a word and they don't give it any thought, and it takes them 40 down into hell for like 40 seasons, straight down into hell. يقول بكلمة لا يلقي لها بالا. He gives it no concern, he just says it. And then the other thing, we become ummah babagaiya. You see, we hear something and then there's no tahaqquq. There's no tadaqquq. إن بذلك الآيات للمتوسمين. In the Quran is for mutawassimin. Who are the mutawassimun? Mutawassimun are people who look deeply into matters. They don't superficially just hear something and then take it at face value. And beware too, this is the age of a'immat al-mudillin.